Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It's Friday, 5th June 2020. This is the second video with regards to Ismut Tafdeel, the elative. We've already looked at Ismut Tafdeel when it is used in what we call the comparative form, when we are comparing one thing to another, one item to another. So, as a recap, just as a quick recap, let's have a look at the two main usages of Ismut Tafdeel. So as you can see, Ismut Tafdeel, it is either used in the comparative form or number two, superlative. What is comparative? Very simple. The answer's in the name, comparative, to compare. Ismut Tafdeel is used to compare one thing to another. And when we use Ismut Tafdeel to compare, usually after Ismut Tafdeel, we have the Harful Jar min, and this is translated as the. Let's just have a look at 2 or 3 examples before we move on to the superlative. So this exercise is on page number 9 of the handout, which you should have. And let us look at the first example. Let us have a look at this first example. Let's make it bigger. So the first thing we do whenever we see any Arabic text is that we read it. So هذه السيارة أرخص من تلك السيارة. Second thing we do is we find out the meaning of the individual words, which we're not going to do now, as this will take time, and also you most probably have covered this exercise with your teacher in the classroom. So we'll go to step 3, which is, before we do even the translation, step 3 is very important, tarkeeb, analysis. We are going to analyze the main parts of this sentence, which are هذه السيارة. This is the mubtada, the subject. So I'll just put a S here, the subject, the mubtada. And this part of the sentence, which has been underlined in blue, this is the predicate, the khabar. So now we know this, we now know where to put what I call the separator. This will go here. What this means is that this is where you translate is, or if it's a plural, are. So let's now go a step further with more analysis. So the mubtada is very simple. You have ismul ishara, al-musharu ilay, and together it forms the mubtada. In the khabar, the most important word is this, arkhas, which is ismut tafdeel. And it's in the nominative case because it's the predicate, it's the khabar. It's got no tanween, it's not arkhasun because ismut tafdeel is ghayrul munsarif. And again, important, you've got the min there. So, whenever you see Ismut Tafdeel, you first think, is it used as in the comparative form or is it in the superlative form? Down here it's quite obvious that because of this min harful jar, this is being used in the comparative form. And finally, the translation will come. The translation is very straightforward. This car, and then you have the separator, is. This car is cheaper than, min, than that car. So very straightforward. So down here, the usage of Ismut Tafdeel was in the comparative form. Let's now look at another example. Let's look at this example, number 5. Example number 5, let's just make it a little bit bigger. And I've tried to blank out the rest of the exercise so you can focus on this one, basically. Kitabi ashalu. Kitabi ashalu min kitabik. So the first thing we did was we read the text. Then the second is we determine the meaning of each word, which we are going to skip. The third is that we are basically going to focus on the tarkeeb, the analysis, i.e. the main parts of the sentence. Not too detailed. There is really no need to go into too much detail because it's a very simple sentence. So this part, kitabi, it is the mubtada, and the remainder is the khabar, the predicate. Okay, now if we look at the mubtada, it consists of two words, kitab plus the ya. So kitab is in nominative case, even though you can't see like here a physical dhamma, but it's in the nominative case. And this ya here is in the genitive case. It's in halatul jar. It's a dhamir, majroor, muttasil. So kitabi is a mudaf and mudaf ilayh. It's a possessive compound. It's al-murakkabul idafi. Together it makes the mubtada. Together it makes the mubtada basically. And the remainder is the khabar. So our separator will go here. Our separator will go here. If we look at the khabar, again, min, you've got ashal ismu tafdil. It's got no tanween because it's ghayrul munsarif. It's in nominative case because it's khabar. Khabar is always in nominative case. Halatul raf'. And again, you have got min. You have got min harful jar straight away. And like I said, whenever you see ismu tafdil, you ask yourself, is it C or is it S? Is it in the comparative form or is it in the superlative form? The min tells you it's comparative. We're comparing my book to your book. And again, if we look at the majroor, this bit here is the majroor. Kitabik is the majroor. Again, it's a possessive compound. Kitab is mudaf, ka is mudaf ilay. Ka is a dhamir. It's dhamir, majroor, muttasil. So, finally, now we've analyzed the main parts of the sentence. We've also looked at some of the words like ashal. We've determined that it's for the comparative form. What we now do is we basically translate. So, kitabi, my book. And then the separator is easier. So ashal, easier. The ismu tafdil, it has this type of meaning: bigger, smaller, greater, easier. So my book is easier min than your book. So this min will be translated as than. So alhamdulillah, this should now be quite straightforward. This should now be quite straightforward using ismu tafdil in the comparative form. Moving on now. So ismu tafdil, as you can see, it will either be used in the comparative form, which we've discussed, and we are now moving on to the second usage, which is in the superlative form. First thing is, what is the superlative form? So we will look at that, the definition. But before that, when the ismu tafdil is used in the superlative form, it will either be used as al-murakkabul idafi, i.e. mudaf mudaf ilayh, possessive compound, or it will be used as al-murakkabut tawsifi, i.e. an adjectival compound, mawsuf sifa. Now once you've understood this, that when we have ismu tafdil being used in the superlative form, then there's a bit of detail. It will either be coming as a mudaf mudaf ilay, so the ismu tafdil will be mudaf, or it will come as mawsuf sifa, where the ismu tafdil is the sifa. So this is on page 6. This is on page number 6 of the handout, superlative form. And this bit, it gives you the definition. It gives you the definition of ismu tafdil. There you are, that's better. So basically, if you read this carefully, what does it say? It tells you that, let's just make it a little bit bigger, the superiority of one is shown against all others. And then this next bit, thus there is no comparison. When you are using ismu tafdil in the superlative form, you are not comparing. You are not comparing. Rather, you are saying or showing that something is superior against, like it says here, all others. So let's look at some examples. So if you look at category A and category B, we have got Basically, category A is when we use ismut tafdhil, like I just mentioned, as mudaf mudaf ilayh, al-murakkab al-idafi. Category B here is using ismut tafdhil as mawsuf sifa, as al-murakkab al-tawsifi. Let's do the easy one first. The easy one is category A. So when you are using ismut tafdhil as mudaf mudaf ilayh, then the rule is very simple. The rule is very simple that, in fact, it's got a little bit of detail. Let me just backtrack on that. That when you use ismut tafdhil as mudaf mudaf ilayh when you're using it in the superlative form and as al-murakkab al-idafi, what happens is that, for example, you've got this example, Zaydun ashrafun nas. Zaydun ashrafun nas. So if you can focus on this example, let's just make it a little bit bigger. So you've got this example, Zaydun ashrafun nas. There you are. So let's look at this example now. Zayd is mubtada, ashrafun nas is the khabar. Zayd is, so the separator will go here, Zayd is the most noble of people. The most honorable, noble of people. So down here, we're not comparing. That's the first thing. Whenever you say ismut tafdhil, remember the golden rule. You always ask yourself, is it being used in the comparative form or superlative? Well, there's no comparative here. There's no min harful jar. So we are using it in the superlative form. If we are using it in the superlative form, we need to ask ourselves the second question. Is it being used as mudaf mudaf ilayh or mawsuf sifa? Well, it's mudaf mudaf ilayh. When we are using it as mudaf mudaf ilayh, irrespective of what the mudaf ilayh is, like down here you've got annas, or irrespective of what the mubtada is, the word before ismut tafdhil, irrespective of all that, ismut tafdhil can simply remain as singular and masculine. So you use af'al for everything. Let me just give you an example. There you are. Fatimatu ashrafun nisa. So can you see? You've got Fatima here. It's feminine. So you can say, you don't have to, but you have a choice. You can say Fatimatu ashrafun nisa. So again, down here you've got ismut tafdhil. It's being used in the superlative form and it's being used as mudaf mudaf ilayh. So whenever you use ismut tafdhil in the superlative form as mudaf mudaf ilayh, you can bring af'al for everything. So you had, down here you had Zaydun ashrafun nas. Down here, Fatimatu ashrafun nisa. Fatimatu ashrafun nisa. However, as you will see from further examples, let's just do one more example. So you've got At-Talibani min al-Hind, A'lamu at-Tullab. The two students from India, and the separator will go here, are. So this whole thing, let me just highlight it. This whole thing, yes, this in yellow, is basically mubtada. The remainder is the khabar. This bit is the khabar. A'lamu at-Tullab is the khabar. So the two students from India are A'lamu at-Tullab, the most knowledgeable of the students. So again, can you see, At-Taliban is basically, At-Taliban is a dual. Despite that, we've still got A'lam. But like I said, you have a choice. You can simply put af'al for everything. Fatimatu ashrafun nisa. At-Talibani min al-Hind a'lamu at-tullab. Down here in this last example, you've got a plural. Al-Anbiya'u afdalun nas. Al-Anbiya'u afdalun nas. So in this example, Al-Anbiya is plural. However, you can still use singular and masculine for everything. Al-Anbiya afdalun nas. Now let's move on from here. Like I said, you have a choice. You can stick to singular and masculine, keep it easy. And the reason you are allowed to use singular and masculine for all of these, it's because it's easier on the tongue. You know, Khalidun a'lamu at-tullab, Fatimatu ashrafun nisa, At-Taliban min al-Hind a'lamu at-tullab. It's very easy to say. Al-Anbiya afdalun nas. This is very easy on the tongue, and because of excessive usage, this is permissible, despite Fatima being feminine, despite At-Taliban being dual, despite Al-Anbiya being plural. So this is now the second page, page 7. The following page, page 7. So at the top, you've got the rule mentioned here. At the top, you have got the rule mentioned here. Category A, this is the rule. Category B, this is the rule. So category B, we've not covered it, but we're going to come to that. So category A is basically when you are using ismu tafdil in the superlative form as mudaf, mudaf ilay. So it says the elative can be singular and masculine. However, you can also make the elative match. So can you see here? Fatimatu, you've got here shurfan nisa. You had before ashraf, but you can also use fu'la, the feminine, because Fatima is singular and feminine, so you can use the singular and feminine, shurfan nisa. Down here you had at-talibani min al-Hind, and then you had previously a'lamu tullab. Down here you've got the jewel. The noon has been chopped off because whenever a word is mudaf, the noon of the plural and jewel, it gets taken off. So this was a'lamani, but the noon has dropped off. This is an old rule, we should know this. So can you see here? You can also say a'lama, just like meaning in total harmony with the mubtada, which is jewel. So this is jewel. You can have the ismu tafdil as jewel as well. And the final example, al-anbiya'u, you can say either afdalun nas. Remember, there's 2-3 plurals for the masculine. Afadilun nas, afadilun nas. So basically, before we just had al-anbiya'u afdalun nas, the singular and masculine. However, al-anbiya is plural and it's masculine, so you can bring the masculine plural. Again, what's happened here is the noon of daluna, the noon has been chopped off, because whenever a sound plural or a jewel is mudaf, you take off the noon. So I hope you've understood this. Basically, let's just do a quick recap. So if you look here, you've got ismu tafdil being used in the superlative form. And when it's in the superlative form, it will either be used as a mudaf ilay, or number 2 as murakkab tawsifi mawsuf sifa. This is still yet to be covered. So when it's murakkab idafi, you have a choice. What is the choice? You can either keep the ismu tafdil as singular and masculine, or you can make the ismu tafdil, you can make it match. Just remember the example, Fatima to ashrafun nisa and Fatima to shurfan nisa. There you are. So this is the conclusion. And inshallah, we will have a further video explaining how to use the superlative as mawsuf sifa, al-murakkabu tawsifi. Let's just now look at 1 or 2 examples from the exercises using ismu tafdil in the superlative form, but as murakkab idafi, as mudaf and mudaf ilay. So from page number 9, let us take the example number 6. So just as before, the first thing we do is we read the text. So ulama'ul kufati a'lamul qawmi. So we've read the text, alhamdulillah. The second thing we do is the individual meanings of the words. We check them in the dictionary if we don't know the meanings, and I am assuming you have done this. Then we move on to step 3, which is analysis. This order is really important if you want to build your Arabic capacity and capability. Following this order, it's extremely important. So we have here the basic analysis, very simple sentence. So let's look at the first part, ulama'ul kufati. This is the mubtada, the subject. The remainder of the sentence, a'lamul qawmi, is khabar. It's the predicate. Let's put P here for predicate. And again, the mubtada, it's a mudaf ilay. Ulama is mudaf, al-kufati is mudaf ilay. That's why al-kufa is an halatul jar, genitive case. The same applies to the khabar. Khabar is also in the, is a mudaf ilay. So a'lamu is mudaf, and al-qawm is mudaf ilay. That's why it's in the genitive case. So we've identified the main parts of the sentence. So we've done some basic analysis. Now we look at the ismut tafdil. A'lam is the ismut tafdil. And the first question, so this is also part of analysis. So we can call this like sub-analysis now. So we go into slightly more detail. So we've seen a ismut tafdil. We ask ourselves the question COS. Is it comparative? Is it superlative? Well, it cannot be comparative because there's no min there. We're not comparing anything. So it's superlative. If it's superlative, again, we go into a little bit more detail. That is it mudaf ilay or is it mawsuf sifa? Is it being used as al-murakkab al-idafi or al-murakkab al-tawsifi? Well, it's al-murakkab al-idafi. So when it's al-murakkab al-idafi, if you remember, if it's murakkab al-idafi, we have a choice. So down here, they've simply put down a'lam, the easy option, which is also easier on the tongue, singular and masculine. Ulama'ul kufati a'lamul qawm. And we can now translate as well, and the separator will go here. The scholars of Kufa. If you remember, we've done this before. When you translate mudaf first, between the mudaf and mudaf ilayh, you put of, and you put the at the beginning of the translation. The scholars of Kufa are, so the separator will go here, are the most knowledgeable of people, a'lamul qawm. So again, the same rule applies between the mudaf and mudaf ilayh, you will put of. So as this was al-murakkab al-idafi, as you can see here at the bottom, we have a choice. So we could put down a'lamu, or we can make the ismut tafdil match. So match what? Ulama'ul Kufa is plural. Ulama is plural. The scholars of Kufa are the most knowledgeable. So we can also use the plural, which is here, a'lamuna. So we can say ulama'ul kufati a'lamul qawmi. Do you remember the rule that whenever a plural or a sound plural or a dual is mudaf, you chop off the noon. So you will say ulama'ul kufati a'lamul qawmi. There you are. So in this example, we can apply the choice. We can say a'lamul qawm, or we can say a'lamun al qawm by dropping the ya, a'lamul qawmi. On page 9 again, let's now look at another example. Number 7. So let's focus on number 7. There you are. I've made it bigger. So we're going to follow our usual steps, which was number 1, we read the text. Al-asadu ashja'ul haywanati. Number 2, we will assume that you have done this. You've checked the meaning of the individual words in the dictionary. Number 3, we are going to do analysis, some basic tarkib. We are going to do some basic tarkib. So the tarkib will be as follows. Al-asadu is mubtada. Straight away we know the separator will go here. The remainder is khabar. That's analysis. That's the basic analysis. We know the two main parts of the sentence. If you look at the mubtada, it's very simple. It's just one word, al-asadu, that's it, nothing else. The khabar, it's a mudaf ilay. Ashja'u is mudaf, al-haywanati is mudaf ilay. That's why al-haywanat is in the genitive case. Now we are going to go to what we call more analysis, meaning let's look at the individual words and see if we can go a little bit deeper. So we can. Ashja' is ismut tafdil. So whenever you see an ismut tafdil, what do? We ask the question, is it comparative form or is it superlative? Well, it's down here in the superlative form. If it's in the superlative form, we ask ourselves, is it murakkabe idafi or is it murakkabe tawsifi? Tawsifi, do mind my writing a bit. Is it murakkabe idafi or is it murakkabe tawsifi? So it's murakkabe idafi. So we have a choice, if you remember. But down here, the choice will not apply. The reason is, al-asad is singular. So everything will be singular. You're not going to say al-asadu and then put a plural here. So it's going to remain. The choice will not apply here. So now we go to step number 4, which is the translation. Step number 4 is the tarjama. So al-asadu ashja'ul haywanati. So if you look, the lion is, so that's the separator. The lion is. And we're going to translate the mudaf first. So we're going to have between the mudaf and mudaf ilay of. The lion is the most. Remember, on the mudaf, we put the. The lion is the most brave of the animals. Or you can say the lion is the bravest of animals, bravest. So can you see ismu tafdil? So you're not comparing here. You are declaring the lion to be superlative. The lion is the bravest of al-haywanat, animals. And I forgot to mention that as part of the sub-analysis, we can also look at the word haywanat. It's a plural. So if you have a plural, you should know the singular. The singular is haywan. The singular is haywan. So we are now concluding this second video, and it's very important that we are fully up to speed with this conclusion. So we have ismu tafdil here. It will either be used in the comparative form or the superlative form. If it's used in the comparative form, some rules. First one, we always use the pattern af'al, irrespective of dual, plural, feminine, etc. That's number 1. After the ismu tafdil, you usually get min. And number 3, this min you translate it as done. If the ismu tafdil is in the superlative form, it will either be used as al-murakkab idafi, al-murakkab al-idafi, or it will be used as al-murakkab al-tawsifi. We still have to cover this, so we've not covered al-murakkab al-tawsifi as yet. This will inshallah take place in the next video. However, we have covered al-murakkab al-idafi, and there is some detail in here that you can simply stick to the pattern af'al, which is easier on the tongue as well, or you can basically do mutabaqa. Mutabaqa means that you can match the ismu tafdil to the word. So if the word is feminine, like Fatimatu, so you can say Fatimatu shurfan nisa. However, you could have also said Fatimatu ashrafun nisa. So this is the conclusion. Dear students, please do watch this video a second time, and if needed, a third time as well. Sometimes you may need to pause the video and think. When you're watching the video, have your handout in front of you, have some scrap paper, have a pen, etc. This video, by watching it and absorbing the information, it will really save time whilst we are doing the online lessons because of the COVID-19 lockdown. Jazakallah. We make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah grant us good health, iman, prosperity. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Jazakallah.